going on, everybody? Welcome to Truth Addiction. This is the channel that deals with the disease of addiction and all the ways it manifests itself. I am a recovering addict, and my name is Brian. I suffer from a disease which is incurable, progressive, and unfortunately, sometimes fatal. It can, however, be arrested at some point, and recovery is then possible. Anyway, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, it's been a little bit since I put a video out. I'm currently trying to reboot, I guess you can call it season 2. If you know what we do here, we usually interview recovering addicts. You know, I don't really like to do the whole interviewing people still in active addiction. You know, them videos you see, people on the street all fucked up, strung out, holes in their arms, all that shit you see somewhere down North Philadelphia. These videos are tragic. And what's happening to these people, I say these people, it's my people, because I used to be one of those people. I don't like to keep the focus on that. Our focus on this channel is the solution. People who have found a new way of life, right? And have learned to live without the use of drugs or alcohol. Alcohol is a drug as far as I'm concerned, but that's the point. But until I get that up, starting the interviews again, I figured it's time to put a video out. I like to put something out that can help somebody, whether they're still struggling right now. Maybe they come across this video, maybe they heard about 12-step meetings, they're not really sure, or somebody who's been clean for a little bit that's in the process, right? And my idea is I want to kick off a 12-part series, if you will. I'm going to do 12 videos representing the 12 steps. I'm going to go through the 12 steps of my recovery program, which happens to be Narcotics Anonymous. Now, there are a lot of anonymous programs. The last time I counted, I counted like 40-something. You have everything from Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, Crystal Meth Anonymous. There's shit for people who can't stop shopping. There's people for shit like people can't stop watching porn. All kinds of shit, right? And the reason I chose Narcotics Anonymous, because I do believe that I could have joined any other anonymous program, a 12-step anonymous program, and that if I would have put the work in and found a sponsor and went through those steps, I believe I could have got clean. And I'll tell you what, to the point where, let's say I'm a heroin addict, I think I could have went to Overeaters Anonymous, worked that program, and I could have stayed clean off of heroin too. Because what it comes down to, it's not about the actual thing that you're doing, whatever that addiction is, which really could be a person, place, or a thing, right? And it's why I chose Narcotics Anonymous, because Narcotics Anonymous just kind of focuses on addiction, period. Alcoholics Anonymous is, their first step says, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives have become unmanageable. Cocaine Anonymous, we admitted we were powerless over cocaine. And, so on and so on, you get the point. In Narcotics Anonymous, it's just, we admitted we were powerless over our addiction, period. Whatever it is. And so what I'm going to do here is, this is going to be the first video. I'm going to go into step 1. And this, like I said, this is the Narcotics Anonymous literature. I'm not promoting Narcotics Anonymous in any way. This is just the fellowship that I chose. It's the thing that has helped me recognize not about the problems the drugs were causing, but the problem, how it pertained to being why I used the drugs in the first place, if that makes any sense. So that's what I'm going to do. Like I said, if you're struggling, I recommend the first thing you got to do is put the drug down, or whatever it is, and get some help. Or maybe you're in the process, you've been clean for a little bit, you hit a wall, maybe whatever it is. Maybe you currently been on one of these steps I'm about to do. Today's going to be step 1. And maybe we can bring a little bit more light to it, you know, explain it a little bit, and just give you my experience. Because, you know, this is my experience. And everything you hear come out of my mouth is what I've learned through going through the process of 12-step recovery in Narcotics Anonymous. Nothing I say is original. You know, I have a way to take everything I've learned over the years, ball it up, and present it to you in my way. But nothing is original. This is all things that I've heard from my predecessors that followed before me. And I sat down, I put the drug down, and I became willing to do something different. And here we are, 7 years later. You know, worked all the steps of 12-step of Narcotics Anonymous, all 12 steps. I'm currently going through them again because, you know, my disease will always be here, which is here in the brain. So I have to always treat it on a daily basis. So let's go. We're going to kick this off. Step 1. I'm going to read, stop reading, comment, and, you know, if you can relate along the way, feel free to comment on the video. All right, let's go. Step 1. We admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. It doesn't matter what or how much we used. In Narcotics Anonymous, staying clean has to come first. We realize that we cannot use drugs and live. When we admit our powerlessness and our inability to manage our own lives, we open the door to recovery. You know, I just like to say, just like I started saying in the beginning of this video, first thing that has to happen is we have to put down the drug. Like, because nothing will change until we put down the drug. There's things that we need to internally check within ourselves to understand why it is that we're using the drugs in the first place. And if we're still using, all that will be clouded and it'll be filled with bullshit our heads will tell us along the way, and eventually we will want to do it our own way. And as we all know, when we do it our own way, it never works, right? No one could convince us that we were addicts. It is an admission that we have to make for ourselves. When some of us have doubts, we ask ourselves this question: can I control my use of any form of mind or mood-altering chemicals? Most addicts will see that control is impossible the moment it is suggested. Whatever the outcome, we find that we cannot control our using for any length of time. You know, and right there, I love that line right there. Basically, the moment control is suggested, we have lost it. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense, right? You ever find yourself saying, well, I'm not going to do that today. No more today. Today's the day I stop. You know, I'm not going to use anymore. I'm not doing the whole fucking gambit of waking up, trying to find money, trying to go get one. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it is. When you find yourself suggesting control, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're going to stop using, right? And usually you're up to, like, let's say you're doing 10 bags of something. And you go, today, instead of buying 10, I'm just going to buy 2 and not buy any more today. And what I'm going to do is when I go cop the 10 bags, I'm only going to take 20 bucks of this 100 bucks with me. Leave 80 at home, right? So there, you're suggesting control. And what happened is, as soon as you suggested that, you lost it. Because believe it or not, and most of you know, you find yourself back to the cop spot with that $80 you left at home about 2 hours later, right? And you could put that on anything in life. You know what I'm saying? There's people that you deal with in life. I'm not dealing with that person anymore. Fuck this. And then, you know, you find yourself, well, if I only see them on Saturdays, I think our relationship could be okay. whatever it is. It could be a coworker or a relationship, a friend, whatever it is. And you go, if I only see him on Saturday, it's more manageable, I could do it. And then you find yourself meeting him on Saturday, and the next thing you know, it's Sunday, it's Monday, it's Tuesday, and now here you are, all fucking unmanageable again. The point is, as soon as you suggest that you can control something that you know that in the past you cannot control, you lose it. You have lost control as soon as you suggested it. All right, so this would clearly suggest that an addict has no control over drugs. Powerlessness means using drugs against our own will. If we can't stop using, how can we tell ourselves we are in control? The inability to stop using, even with the greatest willpower and the most sincere desire, is what we mean when we say we have absolutely no choice. However, we do have a choice after we stop trying to justify our using. We didn't stumble into this fellowship brimming with love, honesty, open-mindedness, or willingness. We reached a point where we can no longer continue using because of physical, mental, and spiritual pain. When we were beaten, we became willing. Right there, dude. Make no mistake about it, right? I have the disease of addiction. And what that basically is a disease of the brain. And what has happened, whether I was born with it or over a period of time, the structure of my brain has changed. And how I think isn't like normal people. Whatever normal is. It's not like normal people. I find myself obsessing. I'm compulsive with shit. And no matter what I do, when I feel like I have a choice, when I'm not in a state of treating the disease that I have, I really have no choice. No matter how much, it was talking about willpower, no matter how much I sit there and tell myself, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it, there's this thing in my head that overrides that and goes, no, you're going to do it. And you do it. That's what happens when you leave this disease untreated. And how I found the best way to treat the disease of addiction is through a 12-step program. Because I'll use the old onion analogy. We're like an onion and there's layers, and we have to peel back layers to get to the root of the issue, right? Not what we're using, but why we're using the things we do. You know what I mean? So now it's going to get into breaking down the three parts I just mentioned, which is the physical, the mental, and the spiritual part. Some people get that word fucked up, spiritual, and combine it to religious. This isn't a religious program. I myself am not religious at all. I look at it more of the spiritual part as like, you know, the spirit for life. What's inside of us, who we are. You know what I mean? And the things that need to be checked on and taken care of, like, you know, character defects and shortcomings and, you know, all the shit that goes down that makes up the reasons why we do the things we do. That's the things we need to find out so we can actually change, like a true conversion of change. So here it says, the physical aspect of our disease is the compulsive use of drugs. The inability to stop using once we have started. The mental aspect of our disease is the obsession or overpowering desire to use, even when we're destroying our lives. The spiritual part of the disease is our total self-centeredness. We felt that we could stop whenever we wanted to, despite all evidence to the contrary. Denial, substitution, rationalization, justification, distrust of others, guilt, embarrassment, dereliction, degradation, isolation, and loss of control are all results of our disease. Our disease is progressive, incurable, and fatal. Most of us are relieved to find out we have a disease instead of a moral deficiency. Right there, bro, I know I was relieved, right? See, here's the thing. My active addiction, bro, I did a lot of trash ass shit. A lot of trash shit, man. You know what I mean? If you watch this channel and you go through some of these videos, I talk about a lot of that shit, you know, but I was relieved because, you know, you get to a point, bro, where you keep destroying yourself and people around you, where you come to this conclusion, like, yo, you know what, man? I'm just a piece of shit, bro. I'll never get right. I'm just, yo, yeah, some people can get clean. Some people can turn their lives around. Not me, right? Because my history has shown that. I just can't do it. You know what I mean? And you become convinced of that. And I remember accepting my fate. Well, at least I thought I was accepting my fate. Like, yo, I'm going to use drugs and I'm going to die one day from it. So I might as well just get used to it. And it's the craziest thing when you come face to face with that, bro, and you accept that you're just going to be a junkie for the rest of your life, man. So it was a relief to understand that, like, yo, nah, it's not that you're just a shitty person or a bad person. It's that you've been doing bad and shitty things because your brain is not wired correctly anymore, right? You know what I mean? Before I came to a 12-step program, bro, you know, some people will be like, yo, I just want to get back to who the person I was before I started using. Dude, I didn't even know who I was before I started using. You know what I'm saying? So I had to, like, establish a whole other, like, who I am now. And it's a rough joint. But to find out that, like, yo, okay, I have a disease, right? Now, that's not like a cop-out. Because at the same time, you got to realize, okay, I have a disease, not a moral deficiency, but guess what? I'm responsible for treating that disease. You're responsible for treating it. Just because you did foul shit in your active addiction doesn't mean it doesn't count. People are hurt by this shit. You know what I mean? But the only thing you could do is try to look within yourself and change yourself, right? And realize that you have something in your brain, what they call today is a substance abuse disorder. But trust me, it's here. It's not here, and it's not in your gut. It's in your brain. The same thing that is trying to keep you alive is also trying to kill and destroy you. And that's a rough situation to be in. Goes on to say, we are not responsible for our disease. I just said that. But we are responsible for our recovery. Most of us tried to stop using on our own, but we were unable to live with or without drugs. That's some crazy shit for an addict with the disease of addiction. You find yourself thinking, all I got to do is put these drugs down and I'll be okay. And you put the drugs down and you realize, holy shit, drugs was just scratching the surface of what's really going on inside of me. What makes me tick, right? Because that's what we need to find out. Many of us tried to stop using on sheer willpower. This action was a temporary solution. We saw that willpower alone would not work for any length of time. We tried countless other remedies. Psychiatrists, hospitals, recovery houses, lovers. Tried that. I can tell you that. New towns. Tried that. I'll just move away from the problem. Come to find out, wherever I go, there I am. Which is the problem. Think about that for a second, right? New jobs. Everything that we tried failed. We began to see that we had rationalized the most outrageous sort of nonsense to justify the mess that we have made of our lives with drugs. Until we let go of our reservations, no matter what they are, the foundation of recovery is in danger. Reservations rob us from the benefits that this program has to offer. In ridding ourselves of all reservations, we surrender. Then and only then can we be helped to recover from the disease of addiction. You know, it's a funny thing, when I first got clean, I thought I was joining the war on drugs. I'm going to fight the good fight. And you know what? Come to find out that the solution was about not fighting anymore. It was about just surrendering to the fact that me trying to stay clean on my own, I cannot do it. And that just staying clean is not enough. I need to do things to change within. right? See, the thing is, you got to get this all right inside before all the outside can become right, right? How can you give, think about it, how can you give or receive love properly if all this is shit in here? Where you don't even love yourself. It doesn't make any sense. Can't love you or people around me if inside I don't love myself. If you think about it, you know, it just fucking makes sense, dude. Now the question is, if we are powerless, how can Narcotics Anonymous help? We begin by asking for help. The foundation of our program is the admission that we, of ourselves, do not have power over addiction. When we can accept this fact, we have completed the first step, the first part of step one. Let me just say this. The hardest thing for me to grasp when I got clean was the concept of that it was a disease. It was so hard to grasp. Like, for most of us, we just think that, like, yo, we just went down the wrong road. We just got around the wrong people. We were just in the wrong relationship. It was because of our job. It was because we weren't raised right. All kinds of shit that we come up with. You know, it was talking about all these words, rationalizations, and all this bullshit we come up with, dude. But the reality of it is, man, once I accepted I had a disease, it became easier. Because then I understood, okay, I have a disease. Let's research this. What the fuck is this disease? What is happening? What's happening in my brain? What has happened from the drug use? And what is happening now? The fact that, like, yo, when life shows up, I tend to want to seek comfort with drugs, alcohol, women, gambling, whatever the fuck it is. Jordans, shopping, whatever the fuck you want to put on it. Why do I seek comfort in that instead of a real solution? Why am I always trying to solve a problem with a motherfucking problem? So when I was able to accept, hey, maybe there's something to this disease thing, I was able to go, okay, I accept I have a disease. Now I must treat said disease. And that's how I found, that's why I find Narcotics Anonymous has done, or what it has done for me. It helps me treat my disease. Okay, so that's like first part of step one. Most people don't know there's two parts of step one, right? But there is a second admission that must be made before our foundation is complete. And we all know what happens when you build a house on a shitty foundation. The motherfucker tends to crumble. So we want to have a solid foundation. If we stop here, we will know only half the truth. We are great ones for manipulating the truth. Fuck yeah, we are, right? We say on one hand, yes, I am powerless over my addiction. And on the other hand, when I get my life together, I can handle drugs. If I just get the right job, if I just get the right girl, if I just get the right house, right? If I just find the right formula of drug, if I just don't do heroin and just drink a fucking, you know, a Heineken or a motherfucking Corona with a lime in it, I'll be able to chill. Nah. Again, once you suggest control, you have lost it. Right? Such thoughts and actions led us back to active addiction. It never occurred to us to ask, if we can't control our addiction, how can we control our lives? We felt miserable without drugs, and our lives were unmanageable. Unemployability, dereliction, and destruction are easily seen as characteristics, I hate that word, of any unmanageable life. Our families generally are disappointed, baffled, and confused by our actions and often desert or disown us. Bro, listen, man. Ain't it a motherfucker when you're in active addiction doing that shit and you got like family members, your mom, dad, husband, wife, kid, whatever it is, motherfuckers just looking at you like, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? What the fuck is wrong with you? Do you know what you're doing to us? Do you know what you're doing to yourself? You have to know. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And over like a certain amount of time, people could only put up with so much, bro. You know what I mean? And then they go, look, we gotta let your ass go, bro. You know what I mean? We can't have like the TV disappearing and motherfucking wedding rings and fucking the jewelry and motherfucking whatever else the fuck you've been stealing in this motherfucker. Not only you stealing our shit, our monetary shit, but you're stealing our motherfucking hopes and dreams, motherfucker. Get the fuck out. And then we got some nerve to be all mad about that shit. I can't believe they deserted me. Listen, I tell motherfuckers all the time that are dealing with addicts and active addiction. You try to help them at first, try to find them help, tell them to seek help, but when them motherfuckers don't, you gotta let go. I don't care who it is. Your son, your daughter, I know this shit is hard, but I'm telling you, the best way you can show these motherfuckers love, like me, in active addiction, is to let us go, bro. Because for some unfortunate reason, most of us need a deep level of fucking desperation before we start to change. Becoming employed, socially acceptable, and reuniting with our families does not make our lives manageable. Social acceptability does not equal recovery. We have found that we had no choice except to completely change our old ways of thinking or go back to using. When we give our best, it works for us, as it has worked for others. When we could no longer stand our old ways, then we began to change, right? From that point forward, we began to see that every day clean is a successful day. No matter what happens, surrender means not having to fight anymore. We accept our addiction and life the way it is. We become willing to do whatever is necessary to stay clean, even the things we don't like doing. And I'll say this. I find in life that it's usually the things that we don't like to do or that we don't really want to do that we know will help us in some way. And we feel awkward or uncomfortable doing them, they're usually the best things for us, right? Most of the time, when you find yourself having to do something that makes you uncomfortable, it's the good thing to do. It's that comfortable shit where we're so comfortable with it that there's like this insanity to it. And every situation will differ, but I'm sure if you think about it, it's usually the insane shit that you're doing or the people you're involved with that's the most comfortable, right? It's uncomfortable to want to change. It's just the way it is. I believe true change is found in being uncomfortable with shit. Until we took step one, we were full of fear and doubt. At this point, many of us felt lost and confused. We felt different. Upon working this step, we affirmed our surrender to the principles of NA. Only after surrender are we able to overcome the alienation of addiction. Help for addicts begins only when we are able to admit complete defeat. This can be frightening, but it is the foundation on which we build our lives. Step one means that we do not have to use, and this is a great freedom. It took a while for some of us to realize that our lives had become unmanageable. For others, the unmanageability of their lives was the only thing that was clear. For me, it definitely was. Getting evicted, turning my utilities on by my motherfucking self because I wasn't paying the bill. They kept shutting it off. I'm like, you shut it off, I'll turn it on, right? Broke, family gone, all that shit. That was so crystal clear to me, it wasn't even funny. But what wasn't crystal clear is that the fact that it wasn't the drugs that was causing it. The cause was whatever was inside of me, how I reacted to life that caused me to use. That was where I needed to get to. The exact nature of the disease of addiction. The exact nature of the using. Right? Being clean and working this step, we are released from our chains. However, none of the steps work by magic. We do not just say the words of this step, we learn to live them. We see for ourselves that the program has something to offer us. We have found hope. We can learn to function in the world in which we live. We can find meaning and purpose in life and be rescued from insanity, depravity, and death. When we admit our powerlessness and inability to manage our own lives, we open the door for a power greater than ourselves to help us. It is not where we were that counts, but where we are going. And that is the final sentence to that. I'll just add to this. We open the door for a power greater than ourselves to help us. For me, the power greater than me that helps me is Narcotics Anonymous as a whole. It's a group of recovering addicts, right? There's a power in the group. It's not religious for me. The power is in the people. It can be in a religious sense for you, though. That's the beauty of this particular program. You can be religious, you can be non-religious. The thing is, though, you have to recognize where the power is coming from for you to remain clean. I used to think that getting clean was hard. Come to find out, staying clean is even harder. And that's why I have to do something every day for my recovery, right? So that's my take on step one. Stay tuned. Maybe a few days from now or something, I'll do step two. But until then, listen, man, I'm going to end this the way I always end all my videos. Just remember this. The disease of addiction is broad and outside of the realm of just using drugs. All right? So keep coming back. More will be revealed. I'm out of here, man.